Well, and welcome tonight to the Tier 1 race at Branch Hatch. With me is Ryan Walker and Chris Hill, our main man behind the camera, of course. Not quite sure where Ryan is at the moment, he seems to be gone. But yeah, looking forward to the race today. It's a short track today, one of the sort of ancient tracks of the UK, I guess. And yeah, very interesting to drive. Nice in a GT3 and some of the slower cars, and originally meant as a motor sport or motor circuit as well. It's been designed for the oranges are somewhere in the 1940s, so it's always it's an older track, and as we will go through the track guide later, we'll see that instead of the Dakota track where you just have corners with numbers, is that sort of every stretch of the track has been named after one of the more brilliant racers that are all coming from the UK. So let's see what's going to happen, because it's going to be really, really nice. I guess it's looking at the practice sessions that we've just seen before qualifying, is that it's really, really close with 22 people within 1 second. So on a track where it's not easy to overtake, it's going to be a nice position if you qualify well this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Branch Hatch is such a fantastic track, and there's been a whole range of series raced around here in the past, from GT World Challenge to the British Superbikes, the British Touring Car Championship, and the whole range of other series as well in the past, even some club level series. And it's always, for me, Frank, it's always, for I know it sounds silly, it always seems it's kind of like a little British little brother to the Nordslife, but it's got that kind of tight confines of the track.
It has, and it has, of course, similar, I think, to Nordschleife. It has really the big drops. It's like 7-8% climbs and twisty and narrow, and yeah, some of the curves are a bit tricky, I guess. So yeah, it's a hard track to drive. I noticed when I was driving it as practice for next week, when my race is that the mirror that I have in the center of my screen, it's sometimes really, just because you go down so steeply, it just really blocks the view of the corner that you're driving into. It's really funny.
Yeah, I always enjoy this track when I get the chance. Maybe just even doing laps offline. It's just one of those tracks. It feels so rewarding when you nail a lap around here, because yeah, it's one of those tracks that if you make a mistake around here, it can bite you. And as we're just in the middle of practice at the moment, we'll go through a bit of a brief recap from our previous round at COTA, or Circuit of the Americas, where Patrick Sodicott, they took the one last week, and yeah, unfortunately, or basically, he was being challenged by his teammate in qualifying, Chris Hack from Wild Fins Racing. Unfortunately, Chris had a power cut during the race, and unfortunately, that put pay to any chance of him possibly challenging Patrick for the win. But finishing in second was Will Casson, and rounding out the top three was Sven Spenkelink in the Lamborghini. So hopefully Sven might be up there challenging for the win tonight. And in the semi pro class as well, they rounded out the semi pro class. Sorry, so I'm trying to get my words right. It was third Frederick Anderson taking the win, and yeah, hopefully he can be up there challenging again tonight. So yeah, it should be a close race. And yeah, what are you expecting, Frank?
Well, I'm expecting that it's going to be really difficult to overtake unless people make a mistake. And from my experience, the mistakes are very easy to do here. So yeah, it's when you just miss your braking point, sometimes just because of the way the track is, you just immediately overshoot your corners. And yeah, there's gonna be some hargy-bargy, I guess, as well in some of the corners just to get past. I think if you're stuck behind someone and it takes a long time, people are gonna take a bit more risks. And this is a track where that's gonna be interesting for us viewers. Let's just put it like that. And one of the other things that might be happening as well, because we've seen it on the practice servers, is that it might be raining a bit later in the race. So fingers crossed, at least us as an audience. That would be nice if that happened, especially if it happens now and not next week's race. But we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point you brought up. The possibility of rain around here tonight in the race. How do you think drivers are going to approach the race with regards to the setup? Do you think they might try and compromise and maybe set the car up for maybe kind of a dry setup, but also a setup that can be used in the wet? What way do you think they're going to go?
Well, looking at my setup, and I think the setups, as you look now, the sort of setups that work in this patch, so in the 1.9 version, those are setups with really low damper settings, bit depending on the track, I guess, and on how much you need to turn. Also, your anti-roll bars will be quite low, and that's actually really good, because I just before this I did a bit of practice and it started raining and I was driving my dry setup on the wet and it felt comfortable, so I just changed a bit of the brake balance to the rear and it was good further. So I think if you use a setup that's already on the lower damper side, you don't really need to change much, because quite a few people here will use full wings anyway. So
Absolutely, and yeah, we're just coming to the end of practice as well, and just about to shortly jump into qualifying. How about you talk us through the track, Frank, as well, with us taking a look at the track as well in great detail, and go right ahead.
yeah, it's not a really long track. It's so you go past the finish straight on the Brabham straight, which is an off-camber straight, and then with a slightly curved stretch before plunging into the right-hander at Paddock Hill Bend, with gradients of 8%. Then you have the really difficult from Holwoods Hill you go into Druids, which is then here, but exiting this corner is a bit tricky. Then you head up to the Pilgrim's Drop, which is a really long straight, and this is where you'll get your top speed. Drop down and then go into the right-hand curve of Hawthorne Hill at Hawthorns. Then you get into another small straight, which is the Derek Minter straight, into Westfield, which is Yeah, and a nice corner to drive, but then you get into the sort of double corner called Dingledale, with here an off-camber turn as well into Sheen Curve. Then up to the Stirling's Curve, which is a really nice cambered corner where you can really take to the inside and get on the power early. Then for a really short straight on clearways, and then via the Clark curve where you also join the smaller circuit that is there. You go back into the Brum Straight past the finish. The entry of the pit is also tricky. You really need to brake a lot because there's a sort of half a chicane in there. So that's might be interesting if somebody didn't practice that.
Indeed, and yeah, from my experience of doing races around here at Brands Arts, the pit entry can be a bit tricky, especially if you go too quick or take it the wrong way. Because from my experience, I have been given some drive-through penalties for just being too quick at the pit speed limit line. But yeah, as qualifying's just got underway, and at the moment it's pretty much all the cars are on track at the moment, and I think track position in qualifying is going to be absolutely crucial, because I think you need a clear track to try and get a decent qualifying lap, and I think most drivers might just be aiming to at the moment anyway just try and set a banker lap. And as we look at the previous race winner from Kota, Patrick Sodicott, coming round into turn 1, and at the moment it pops up into second position, but pole position currently held by Clayton Barney. But I think Frank, I think at the moment it might just take some of the drivers probably a couple of laps at least to get the tyres up to temperature, and then I think we'll probably see the time start to slowly tumble down.
Yeah, if you look at the practice time on the practice server that's been used, that's the quickest time there was a 1:22.3, I think, 3:7 by Clyde as well. I thought, and I think Sam Spankling was a close second. So yeah, I expect to sort of drop that to at least half a second, and kind of curious if we'll even drop into the 1:21s, but I think that's really hard to do. So for me personally, if I hit a 1:24 low, I'm already quite happy. So yeah, it's amazing the times they drive anyway.
Yeah, if I do something like a 1:23, I'm happy with that. But if I see someone going quicker and doing maybe a low 22, that's when I kind of tell myself I maybe should just give up.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm not driving with this group, right? And we're not driving with this group, so no, but I think it's always amazing how people can be so quick and so steady in their driving. But still, I mean, I think during practice I saw Patrick Sodicott. I saw him spin, and because that's easy as well. It is a hard track to drive. There's you will lose the car on off-camber corners. You will lose them because because the track is moving down, and yeah, you lose your rear. So it's going to be interesting to see if everyone's going to be driving without making any mistakes.
Absolutely, as Marco Tarcini comes across the line and sets a 1:23.1, and that puts him up into 7th position overall at the moment. And as he goes off track, and I think he probably realises that he can probably go quicker with maybe some adjustments, but they've still got about pretty much 14 minutes left in qualifying, so plenty of time for drivers to improve their lap times. Maybe if they're not happy with it, they might go back to the garage and make some adjustments. As we look at Francois Tassin at the moment, they currently got it looks like Sam Spanker behind him in the Lamborghini, so it looks like Sam possibly might be getting just held up ever so slightly.
Yeah, if I look at the time, I think Sam should be able to drive that 1:22 low as well. So I think he's now leaving a gap so he can close in. But look at the track, all the cars that are driving around. There aren't really that many gaps. So you really need to create one to be able to have some space. Like for quite a few yellow markers as well during the lap. So
Yeah, it looks like everyone's on track at the moment, and that's the thing with having pretty much every car on track at the moment. You're trying to get some clear air, but everyone's maybe thinking of the same thing as well. As it looks like Kurt Peters just running slightly wide and touching the grass, but he gets away with it and coming across the line, and they jumps up into P14 and up into P4 in the semi-pro class. So a good lap by Kurt at the moment, and the driver from Belgium setting a decent time in class, and at the moment they doing well in the semi-pro class. And I think one of the drivers that I'll be keeping an eye out for, and I have to say I do like that gold and black livery.
Yeah, it looks really nice. I had a blue and sort of gold livery last year, but this one is a really nice combination as well. Love it. Yeah. But also, there are some people making just incredible liveries anyway. So then that's one of the perks as a premium member from SSRI, is that you can actually create and upload a livery that will be shown during the broadcast then. So.
Indeed, and for anyone that's maybe anyone that's tuning in for the first time, wondering and thinking, how do I get involved with this GT3 series? How do you get involved? Well, first of all, you can join the SSRI Discord, and also you could sign up on the league page on the SimGrid website. So that's a couple of ways to get involved. And if you've got any questions about joining and also just the league in general, just feel free to hop on and onto the Discord. And I'm sure everyone, drivers, organisers, anyone involved in the series and the league will be happy to help out.
Yeah, and one of the things that if you want to join and you're new is that you're gonna have to do a pre-season test on Barcelona, where you have to do 10 consecutive clean laps. And according to the lap times that you drive there, you'll be assigned into a tier. So we have at the moment 4 tiers. So we have the pros, the semi-pros, silver, and AM. And we're driving in 2 races. So pros and semi-pros are driving today, and next week the silvers and AM will be driving on the same track.
Indeed, so yeah, basically, if you don't get stuck in this split or tier, sorry, stuck in tier 1, it's not all doom and gloom. You still get a chance to race, and that's the thing I like about this series as well, with Frank. Yeah, you might, if you feel slow against the pros and semi-pros, you get stuck in another tier with drivers that are maybe on the same level or same pace as you, and it means that you've always got someone to race with. So I think it's always a good thing, and it's a positive thing.
Yeah, because I've raced like for position 18, and then just close to somebody a whole race. And then and that's just, for me, that's just as much fun as sort of driving for the top 3. So it's about that sort of close racing and the fun you get from that, and in what position you actually do that, for me, doesn't really matter. But it's really nice to do, I think. So.
Indeed, as we just watched Marius Dreads jump up into P6 at the moment in the Mercedes, and yeah, Marius had a decent race last time out at Kota, and I think he's probably one that's maybe worth keeping an eye out as well. I think the cars like the Mercedes and the Lamborghini could be the cars to have around here tonight, along with the Ferrari. Just the characteristics of this track might suit these cars, and I think it's good to see a bit of variety up at the front. You've got, as I say that, I think we missed that as well. Will Carson jumps to the pole position with the McLaren as well, so good to see a McLaren up there challenging.
Yeah, there's and we don't even use the LFM BOP at the moment, so that's I noticed also when I logged on today is that there's now 1.9.8. That's the new patch, and I wasn't aware there was already a smaller update again as well. So they did some changes in the last patches. So I think the first race we did, we used a BOP. which helps out in sort of limiting the really fast cars and sort of helping the cars that are a bit slower by adding weight or getting rid of some extra weight. So the competition will be closer during the race. So that's the balance of performance. That's what it stands for. And now we were using for the first race, we were using the LFM, so low fuel motorsports BOP. But now since patch 1.9.6, there have been some updates by Kunos on the performance of a few cars. So we're waiting to see if we need to change the BOP again, or if we're going to introduce the LFM BOP again.
Indeed, as well, look at the pole sitter, the current pole sitter, Will Casson at the moment, and yeah, good to see Will up there as well, and also another driver up at the front as well in the BMW. The BMW, I noticed that I don't think it was up at the front challenging overall at Kota, and that's Peter Vanyard up at second place at the moment with the BMW. So the BMW, even though it's not been, from what I remember, it's not been used that much. Anyway, it's good to see it up there in second place. And Patrick Sodika in third place at the moment. So 3 different manufacturers, actually 4 manufacturers, because you've got the McLaren, BMW, Ferrari, and the Lamborghini with Spencer Link at the wheel.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising to see the BMW there because they just weren't quick during all the other tracks. So and Peter, he has only raced 1 race, so the second race in Kota. Then he came in 12th. So yeah, good to see some variety and the fact that he's actually now doing really, really well. It's good fun. Makes it a lot more interesting to see all these different cars. Even Ticini is quick in the BMW.
Yeah, it could just be the tracksuit in the BMW, because the BMW does tend to be a car it seems to be the car to have around these sort of tracks, high speed tracks with high speed corners, and I think it seems to be a very stable car around here as well. As I look at Sem at the moment, currently in 4th place, and just watched him coming through turn 1. He ran slightly wide and clipped the gravel, so that might have maybe cost him a couple of tenths. And this is probably one of my favourite corners here. A high speed right hander that just feels so rewarding when you nail that corner.
And I'm also curious because people will cut these 2 corners, right? So they'll cut the corner at Westfield and they'll cut the corner at Sheen. But that's that will, if you do it enough, that will lose you tire pressure. So you will get people. Yeah, of course we do now have a race of 60 minutes where that's one of the things we need to talk about anyway, is the fact that we need to do an obligatory tire change. But I think on this track is that it's going to be needed as well, because if you clip that grass a few too many times, you will lose your tire pressure in the tires. So it's always a good thing to sort of start with at least a bit of a higher tire pressure, because you might lose a bit as well during the race.
Indeed, and as what's Patrick coming across the line now. Patrick Sodika jumps up into the pole position, so he takes the pole position by 7,000ths of a second. Wow!
Amazing. This is so good.
And I think if she's watching, this will please the team boss, Denise Pope from Wide Fringe Racing. It'll please her. So if she's watching, she's probably no doubt got a big grin on her face at the moment. And just one Wide Fringe Racing car out there tonight, by the looks of it, with Patrick at the moment. Unfortunately, Chris Hatt can't be here tonight, and I was unfortunate for Chris at Kota because he had the pace to challenge Patrick, I feel, and unfortunately he got a power cut, and that ended all his chances of possibly challenging for the win. But as I look at Patrick Treffers at the moment for DD Racing, coming around this corner as well, that corner here, you want to try and take as much care as possible without unsettling the car, because if you can cut that inside curb, take a lot of it and not get a cut track, you can gain a ton of time.
And he should be quite a bit quicker, I think, than he's up till now. So might have had some bad luck, or because it's really easy to sort of get a track warning here as well. So you need to, if you're pushing it, it's hard to actually keep it on the track, which we notice here as well by Rainer. And he's our leader for the semi-pro class. So he needs to, if you look at his time now, he needs to step up a bit on his pace.
Indeed, currently down in 24th overall, and yeah, just checking the standings as well, and yeah, you are correct. Yeah, correct. He is he is the leader of the semi-pro championship at the moment. So he needs to try and improve his position in qualifying. He's only got about 2 minutes 50 left. So I think it'll be. He's got probably this lap and one more to do. And that's his last couple of chances. I think.
Yeah, but if you look at it, I mean, look at the times. It's like he's 24th, and so the first 27 are in 1.2 seconds. So if he wins a 10th, he'll be up. Like all of a sudden he's changing 7 places. It's amazing. This is so funny.
Indeed, as we look back up to the current pole position holder, Will Carson at the moment, still, yeah, I just absolutely throw that car around, and yeah, Carson retakes the pole position from Sodakit as well, and yeah, Carson decides to abandon that lap.
So he's not gonna get out anymore, not be able to defend if Patrick changed it. So Peter Van Aer is already in the pits as well, so he'll not be improving. So it's going to be between Patrick Söderqvist and Sam Spenkeling and Clyde Biney, I think, to see who can produce the best time. So, well, it's not going to be Patrick here. So, but because the track is rather short, you have like 122, so you'll be in time to get another lap in, so that should be okay if he's got enough fuel for it.
Indeed, as Patrick Söderqvist comes down to the final corner and he's got traffic in front of him, it looks like he won't be helped. His lap won't be compromised as he comes up to the line now, and I think what's it going to be is can Patrick improve? No, he can't. He can't. So basically, Patrick stays second for the moment, but he's got one more attempt.
Don't know exactly where you start in the race, if you start on the outside or the inside, if you're in front. So. And is the McLaren quicker of the start than the Ferraris? I guess so, right? The Ferrari isn't a quick starter.
Excuse me. I think the McLaren off the line. I think it's probably. I think a good car, but I think if you're in a turbo car, I know from my experience of racing the Aston Martin, the off the line, that the turbo cars are not the best off the line. So yeah, you've basically just got to kind of just basically pray for luck. Get off the line as traffic off the track in front of Patrick.
Yeah.
Patrick, and hopefully doesn't get held up.
He doesn't. So that was parting the Red Sea. Well, don't think he's gonna make it. No. So Sam stopped as well. Oliver's pulled out. So we only have a few cars left. Not too bad by Oliver as well. He's second for amateur, I guess.
Yeah, a great job by Oliver. Yeah, great job by Oliver, second in class at the moment. So a great qualifying from him, and hopefully that can transform into the race. Look at Amaral coming round the final corner, and as I say that he abandons his lap and decides to jump into the pits.
You need to practice that pit entry. There's nothing to it. So that's quali.
Indeed, that was a great qualified session, and I have to say, great, very close throughout the field, and Patrick, Will Carson taking a well-deserved pole position, and 3 different manufacturers in the top 4, and I think that's a good thing to see.
Yeah, it's really good. Shall we go through the list? So the quickest time is 1:22.24, which I think is quicker than the quickest time that was done in practice on the server. So that's always good to see.
Yeah, but Will Carson, that was his quickest time of the so far tonight, and Will Carson taking the pole position from Patrick Sodikit, who starts in the front row alongside him, and then on row 2 we've got Peter Vernier and Sam Spenkelink, and then we've got Clayton Barney in 5th, and then Andrew Richardson in 6th in the McLaren, and another McLaren alongside him, and 7th with Giorgio Magazzi, and then the Dutchman Justin Dion starting in 8th in the Mercedes, and then 8th is Lard Cox, and rounded at the top 10 is the Italian Marco Taccini in the BMW, and then alongside him you've got another another BMW with Nick Vargers, and the Norwegian in the semi-pro class, Terji Andre Fredriksson with Marius Drees in 13th, and then Oliver Anderson starting 2nd in the semi-pro class in 14th, and then Luca Amaral rather starting in 15th with Paco Lara starting in 16th, and then 17th we've got Francois Tassin, and then Kurt Peters in 18th, and then 19th we've got Matt Redfern, and then round out the top 20 is John Beaton in the Honda, so the Honda having a decent qualifying. And then in 21st we've got Leonardo Wolf Garcia with Rainer Attenstad in 22nd, and then Martin van der Kraan in 23rd, John Gray 24th, and then Dario Vianello in 25th, and then 26th we've got Tim Miro, and then Marcel Viss in 27th, 28th is Thomas Van Schaik, and then Andy King in 29th, Simon Wilkes in 30th, and then Patrick Treffers in the Porsche in 31st, and then 32nd we've got one of the admins and the league organisers, Baz Van Melis in 32nd, and then 33rd we've got the Arvin Wagenmakers, and then Thibaut Zidek 34th, 35th is Christoph Holzer, and then rounded at the grid 36th is Dennis Verhoeven.
Okay, at the moment we seem to have lost Marcel Vis on the server though.
Yeah, I was about to say I spotted that. I wonder if he's maybe having connection issues, or I know that some people in the past have had issues with ACC crashing to desktop, so I don't know if he's had that issue possibly, and maybe had to jump out and then basically jump back in quickly.
Well, there's a 5-minute time normally, so if he needs to rejoin, he should be able to.
Indeed, I can't remember. I think if you disconnect after qualifying, I don't know when you rejoin. If you get placed to the back of the grid, or if you have to start from the pits.
I think as long as you're still in the 5 minutes waiting, I don't know, to be honest either. I thought you might jump back to the position you were in, but I don't know. Let's see if he's able to join. Yeah, he's joined now again, and on position 36. So he's back in.
Indeed, they're just basically waiting to get to the grid, and what do you think the keys to the race will be in the early stages, Frank? Do you think it'll be patience and just trying to settle down, or do you think sometimes?
Yeah, you're gonna have to on this track. You're really gonna have to follow, and you might get lucky, and somebody might get pushed out, and yeah, you'll be able to pass a few people, but it's such a hard track to overtake. and the straight from Pilgrim's Drop from Surtees to Hawthorne Hill. That's it's not really, unless you get a really good exit on Surtees, then you might catch up. But otherwise, it's, I think, just a lot of following the car in front of you, making sure not to hit them, which is always my problem. Sorry, Arjan. And then settle in, get the rhythm of the track, see how the track is, see how the weather is, see how the people around you are driving, and then see if you spot a gap that you can try and get into.
Indeed, and before we get underway, just a few race details for tonight. It is a 60-minute race, so basically 60 minutes. It's not unlike the previous round at Kota. That was a 75-minute race, so but still a mandatory pit stop with for a tyre change. Fuel is optional if you want to take fuel, but it wouldn't surprise me if some drivers maybe try and take maybe roughly a full tank and maybe just try and change tyres only at the pit stop just to try and
but that doesn't really work. So because your tires will that takes you 30 seconds, and your fuel will always be lower, and the weight difference of the higher fuel just makes you a slower car. So people will, I think, really go to the halfway point, and that might be different because it is raining at the starting grid at the moment. It might be that it's that you take more fuel, so you can drive a bit longer, hoping that maybe after 45 minutes or so it will start to dry up, and then you can sort of drive a bit longer and do only one pit stop. So that might be a valid tactic. So.
Indeed, and rain at the moment on the grid, and as we jump to the grid now, as you see right there, there's rain on the grid, and I think I don't know what would you do if you were further down the grid, Frank? Would you take the risk and maybe start on slicks, or do you just throw in the wet tires, and then basically if the track starts drying up, do you jump into the pits straight away and just stick on dry tires, and or do you try and go as long as possible?
No, if you look at the track now, so you on the top right, you see that it's the track says it's wet, and if it's wet, it's probably really wet. So you need to drive on the wet tires, otherwise you will spin out so easily. What is going to happen though is it's raining now. It's raining quite heavily. It will be raining less in 10 minutes. And afterwards, like half an hour, you see that it's dry. So and then it sort of depends on how many cars are on track perhaps, and if they really dry out the track, because it isn't really hot, so it might take a bit longer. And then, it could be, we could be in for some nice tactics, and people will drive a bit longer to make sure that that the track is dry. Or dry enough to then switch immediately to the dry tires. But it's going to be, so there's going to be a few laps where people might already go to the dry ones and it's too early. So tactic-wise, this is going to be an interesting race.
Indeed, and I think if I'm these drivers especially up at the front, I think in the early stages of the race, I think you just want to try and maybe just settle in and just take it easy especially on a wet track, because on a wet track you don't have the same braking points as you would in the dry. You get in the wet, you've got to back up your braking points just ever so slightly, because of just basically it's a wet track, and unlike a dry track, you can't really brake as late as possible. You've got to. This is what I like about racing in the wet. You've got to. It requires you to adapt your driving, if you like.
Yeah, and I'm because the rain that I've seen on the track was not with puddles, so and sometimes these influence your driving line as well, and I'm not quite sure if I see them now or how wet the track is. But it's that might be impacting your racing line and your braking as well. If there's just sort of a stream or a puddle just on the point where you would normally brake, you might spin out immediately. So. That's really something you need to take care, or you need to look out for.
Indeed, and also something that people might notice during the race as well. You might see drivers doing it from time to time. They might try and as the track starts drying out, you might see drivers trying to jump offline, trying to find some wet parts of the track to keep their wet tires cool. Because obviously, when the track starts getting drier, the wet tires might start getting a little bit warmer, and yeah, drivers might try and find some puddles or wet patches to cool the tires down. But obviously, the track will start drying out as the race goes on, and
Well,
I
the
think
track is already drying out. It's already moved to damp, so it's not wet anymore.
so it's basically yeah, definitely the track will start drying up now. But as all the cars start cover up to the start finish line, it's your pole position. Pole position sitter Will Carson on the inside, so the advantage is to him into turn one, hopefully. And being on the inside at Brands Hatch is where I would like to be, but as they come up to the line, we're just about to get underway, and it looks like yeah, we're underway, and the race is green.
So now let's see how everyone gets.
Oh,
Oh my
Carson's
God.
wide.
Yeah, to be expected almost, right? It's such a hard track in the.
And Carson's into the wall. So go ahead, Rank. Oh, someone's been spun around.
And somebody's driving off there.
Yeah, we were talking about drivers they needed to settle down, but I think some of these drivers just been caught out by the wet track or damp track conditions, and they not being able to adapt.
And I think just after Druids, there was a whole pileup of cars that are now way in the back.
Yep, and it's such an unfortunate start for Will Carson because he had a great qualifying, but I don't know, Frank, if he maybe just got caught out, but maybe the car just had some wheel spin on the wet and he just got caught out, or just been caught out by the damp track and not being able to adapt.
Well, looking at the because the first corner he just went wide, so he braked too late or too little anyway, and he was on the inside line, which is of course a different line than he would normally take. And then it's an easy mistake to make if you don't know the exact amount of grip you have, because they didn't sort of now practice in the wet or didn't do qualifying or practice session in the wet. And I'm not quite sure if he actually practiced a lot on the server, to be honest.
And they look at Seb Svenka, like he's looking feisty already, and they tried to make him move up the inside of Peter Vernier and up the inside into the hairpin, and Seb Svenka like up into second position now. So it looks like the Lamborghini is suiting these damp conditions at the moment.
Seems to be really quick. In his hands, not in mine. In his hands. So I don't know. Are there any cars? Do you know that? Are there any cars that are better in the rain? I know the Lexus, for example, was a car that's really good in the rain, and then it got like nerfed to hell, and now it's, I think, after the new patch, a decent car again.
I've not had a chance to try the Lexus yet, but I know from watching and commentating on other series with the Lexus in the past, the Lexus was a good car to have in the wet.
Yeah.
So you never know if something like I know from my experience, the BMW is probably one of the cars that's not that good in the wet. So, but then again, a BMW, I take that back. A BMW is up in third at the moment. So, yeah, having a decent run in the early stages of the race is already pretty much 3 minutes into this race.
And there's another yellow in the end. Two cars that were I think of.
So apart from some drivers having issues on lap one in the wet, it looks like it's been, well, hopefully I don't jinx it, it's been relatively clean at the moment.
Yeah, somebody already joined back into the, so François Tassin already joined back into the pit straight. Wondering if he'll be driving again. I always keep driving. I mean, I practiced, and I want to spend my time driving when I have a race. I'm not quitting or stopping or whatever. So I've been disconnected and I just started up again. This is a close battle.
Ooh,
That's gonna
that was
be so yeah.
that was a bit tight, and yeah, John
That's the
Beaton in the
Honda, right?
Honda.
Yeah.
John Beaton in the Honda making up a. It
Oh.
looks like two. There was a car off on the right, and it looks like Beaton has to go offline slightly. Oh,
Uh,
oh, that was a bit.
oh,
That was a
that's
bit.
it. That's,
That
yeah.
was a bit naughty by Vargers.
Which cost John immediately 3 positions again.
Indeed, I was about to say it. They Beaton was having a good. Having a good run in the early stages, and it looks like someone else is off in the Mercedes. That looks like who could that be? It's a lap down car, I believe. But I was about to say this Honda, in the hands of John Beaton, it was a quick car in the straight line. He managed to gain 2 positions before that little issue of Vargas, but they're all jockeying for position into turn 1. It looks like Vargas is ran wide, and Beaton will take that position.
Yeah, he's passed him again. But it is close. It's so difficult in the rain, especially, to drive close to somebody because it's your braking points. So because people don't brake at the normal braking points, you really need to take extra care, and it's really hard sometimes because the braking difference, especially in the rain, might be completely different. Because I know you need to really put back your brake balance to get the best braking in the rain. But if people have really high, what is it, the ABS, that might be completely different braking than for the people that don't use that much. So it's tricky, and I'm not quite sure because I don't see it here about how much spray people see, because that's sort of depending on the graphics settings, I guess. And there are
Yeah.
some broken.
And as you see there, yeah, as you see there, you can see a bit of a dry line starting to form up slightly as it looks like Vargas is under pressure from Redfern in the McLaren behind him, but Redfern is in a different class, so there's always a phrase or a saying I use for these sort of races if you're racing in different classes, still in the same race but different classes. That's always it's always pick your battles. Basically only fight the people that there's a bit of contact between Redfern and Vargas as well. So yeah, early stages, but everyone's starting to get their elbows out already. Oh, is someone just been barged off?
Was that John again? No.
No,
there's John.
Yeah, there's John there. I think it was a Ferrari getting barged off there, or was it a Porsche? I think it might. Yeah, it's so much going on. It's so hard to keep up. But yeah, I thought people were just going to settle down and just be sensible with the. But I think I think I pretty much just jinxed that.
The commentator heard. Oh, is Sam on? So we completely missed that.
Yeah.
When did that happen, Chris? Help us out.
I was about to say I had a feeling it's just to pace it Sam had in the early stages of the race. So I think I had a feeling that he was going to take the lead, and I think this Lamborghini seems to be the car to or one of the cars to have in these wet conditions. And yeah, Sam's not hanging around by any means, and starting to pull away already. He's got about a 1.2 second gap.
Curious also how that will end up when it starts to get dry. When it starts to get dry again, it'll make Patrick a mistake, perhaps.
Well, yeah.
Fighting, yeah.
I think Patrick might have just caught out that outside curb there, that wet curb on the outside, and it just unsettled him. And that's something you've got to watch out for in these races, Frank, as well. And on a tramp track, you can't really touch the curbs or hammer the curbs like you could in the dry. You've got to be, I guess you've got to tiptoe in a way.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way yesterday when I tried to brake on a wet curb that didn't work. I immediately lost the back. So it's really tricky to drive, especially because ACC also has a bit of a system where you can drive a bit outside the normal racing line, and then you will have a bit more grip than on exactly the racing line. But here the track is so small, is that you almost need to stay on the racing line to just even make corners and stuff. So that's also, I'm curious in this case if that would actually work to be a bit off the racing line. I don't think so.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a replay coming up as well, and it looks like, yeah, it looks like we've got this is the pole position setter or holder, the Wildcats having issues, and I think he might have got tagged.
Yeah.
So that was so unfortunate for Wow, because he had a great qualifying like we were talking about before, and as you see in the background there, everyone just spinning out all over the place.
Yeah, that's yeah, especially with so many cars, and then in the wet, and then that first corner, nobody knows the grip they have, and then that's gonna be a really hard time. So let's pray for dry for tomorrow, for next week.
And as we look further back in the field, we're looking at Oliver Anderson at the moment, currently 8th overall, and actually talking about him, Frank, he's actually leading the semi-pro class at the moment. So yeah, Oliver's doing a good job at the moment, and in the wet, maybe these wet conditions might just be suiting him.
What happened then to Terrier? Because he was the lead, and he's now 4th, I think. Or oh no, he's in 20th position. So he really lost a lot of places.
Yeah, so I wonder if Terge was maybe caught up in that incident in the early stages of the race where everyone was just spinning out, and maybe just lost some track time or had to take avoided accident. But yeah, he's way down in class at the moment. So Oliver at the moment doing a good job, and I think Oliver's one of those drivers that he realises that he's not going to fight the other drivers from another class. He's not going to try and put up a big fight as he runs wide slightly into the hairpin. But he's one of those drivers with a sensible head on his shoulders.
And you wouldn't say that if you hear him commentating normally. So that's that's funny. He's a really nice guy. So. And look, I'm just also looking at lap times. So what are people driving as fastest times? Because we're now into the 1:28 for the top 5 or touching that. So, which is actually quite good. And Richardson is in 3rd at the moment, which is quite high up, to be honest.
Yeah, great to see Andrew up there as well. And it looks like, Ter's just he's up inside of another car and just had a bit of a door rub and got spun round.
Yeah.
So that was so unfortunate for the Norwegian. But yeah, I think he's still got plenty of time to regain positions, and they've still got about 48 minutes left in the race. So yeah, plenty of time, but there's a lot to Oliver coming through the final corner. It's still spitting with rain slightly, but it's starting to ease off. And as you see on the track there on the home straight, it's Oliver moving offline to try and cool his tyres down.
Yeah, I'm sort of wondering what, because normally if you look at the tire pressures that you would need to have, it's like about 30, 29 high-ish, I guess, on the wet tires.
Yeah, wet. From what I remember, I believe it's between 29 and 30 psi. So it's that's the optimal tire pressure for these wet conditions. Depending on how wet it is, there's a couple of cars run wide there in turn 1, and it looks like Leonardo Wolf Garcia currently a little bit down in class at the moment, but still going around keeping it on track. And as well look at Tim Miro as well, down in 20th, so in a bit of a starting to get a bit of a trend starting to form behind him.
And it was kind of funny to see if it looked like if you're yellow, you're off track. It's sort of, well, it gives a yellow dot on the track map, so yeah, that's it's well prepared.
And it looks like Ter still managing to go around at the moment. I think he might probably be feeling frustrated after that incident, but he managed to keep going, and it was just a bit of a door to door contact. But Looks like he never got any major damage. Maybe just slightly, maybe a bit of a scratch. But to look back behind him as well, with Dennis Verhoeven currently behind the Wagenmakers as well, or Wagenmakers, sorry.
Wagenmakers, it's in Dutch, but Wagenmakers, well, you're allowed to make of it what you want. That's what Oliver always said. So if I pronounce it like that, then that's how it is.
Yeah, yes. So some of the names I look at sometimes, and I have to kind of second guess myself, or basically take a chance and hopefully I get it right. But as I look at Andy King at the moment, in the Ferrari currently down in 18th overall, just in front of him, he's got a Van Schaik in front of him. So yeah, a bit of a trend starting to form with these cars as well. So yeah, good racing throughout the field and at the early stages of the race, but hopefully, or basically as the race goes on, the track will start getting drier and drier, and I think as the track gets drier, you'll probably expect to see lap times starting to come down.
Yeah, and in 10 minutes it's gonna be no longer raining, as you see on the marker on the right hand or the right top. So, and then that's 10 minutes. So then we're like somewhere between 40 and 35 minutes to go. So then if you have a couple of dry laps, the track will dry out, and then about halfway we might see people starting to move to slicks.
Yeah, that's it. That was a question I was going to bring up as well. But what do you do if you're any of these drivers that are further down the field and as the track's starting to dry out? Do you try and pit early and maybe try and get some clear track and put in some quick laps? Switch to the slicks early, or do you just try and stay out and basically stay out as long as possible and wait until the track is completely dry?
I think it would depend a bit on the situation I was in with the people around me. If I felt like I was perhaps quicker or not. There's no, if you're sort of way back because you've spun out or you've been hit or whatever, and you're way back and you should be quicker than you are. It would be a really decent gamble, I think, to just go a bit earlier to slicks and then try to see if you can keep it on track long enough and then have the immediate effect and some extra laps perhaps where nobody else is yet pitting but you're quicker, because they first want to take a look and see what you're doing. So I wouldn't mind, I guess, going to slicks a bit early at that moment. But looking at how they are sliding still, it might be way too soon at the moment.
Indeed, as I look at Arwen at the moment, still in a battle with Van Schaik and Verhoeven in front, behind him. Yeah, still plenty of battles going on at the moment. But I think apart from this battle, it's up at the front anyway. It's settled down, but is right on board in the rear of Arwen at the moment. Coming across the start-finish line, clips the grass ever so slightly, just trying to find as much of a wet patch as possible to try and cool his tyres. But yeah, this is pretty much the stage where the track's starting to dry and the tyres are starting to start overheating slightly and starting to get to about 31 psi or 32 psi, which is pretty much where the tyres start to basically scream for water to get cooled down.
Yeah, I've gone as high as I think 33.5 or something. It's like you have these balloons under your car at that moment. But then still, yeah, it also really depends on how wet the track still feels or how slippery some of the pieces of the track still are. Just looking at the spray still coming from the cars, it's still quite a bit. So it is still wet.
Indeed, as you watch there, the spray coming off the cars, and yeah, still a bit damp as well. So I think most of these drivers will probably try and stay out as long as possible, and basically, I think it's one of those things: stay out as long as possible, and then what the other car in front does, or basically react to what they do. And I think at the moment there's still damp patches around the track, so I think most of these drivers are trying to stay out as long as possible. But as you see at the top of the screen there, the rain has stopped, so it's just it won't be too long before the track starts drying out, and looking at Tim Miro coming across the line, got a slight bit of front end damage, so probably one of the drivers that was caught up in that bit of a melee on the first lap.
How is Sam doing in front? What's the time difference at the moment?
Sam up at the front, he's got about a 2.7 second lead. So yeah, Sam's pretty much get in command at the moment as someone goes off wide there on into the corner there, and yeah, Sam pretty much in command at the moment.
They both really drove away quite a bit, because I think behind that there was quite a big gap. At least behind Patrick there's a big gap.
Yeah, third place Andrew Richardson's about 8.3 seconds behind, so Sam and Patrick are pretty much in a class of their own at the moment, and because it looks like we've got someone else or someone Marco Tartini making his pit stop. So one of the first drivers to pull the trigger and taking the risk to switch to slicks.
Well, I'm curious if he actually switched to slicks. I would expect it, but I might be a tad early to have done that. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We should take a good look at the people now in the pits and see if they actually start to become quicker after the pit stop.
Yeah, also Fredrickson's into the pits as well, so is Simon Wilkes. So yeah, quite a few drivers starting to. Maybe some drivers are starting to pull the trigger and think this is the time to switch to slick tyres, but obviously they've got to be very careful on slick tyres because they can't really use the curbs because the curbs will still be wet, and if you try and use the curbs when they're still wet on slick tyres, that never ends well. And it looks like Tacchini's got a 30-second stop and go, so I wonder if that was for speeding in the pit lane. And also, as I say that as well, it looks like Dres and also Oliver Anderson have dived into the pits as well. So yeah, but more drivers starting to maybe deciding that now is the time to switch to the slick tyres possibly. But I don't know. That's a bit of a risk with the track still being relatively damp in some places.
Yeah, but also we don't know, of course, now what the tire pressures are for the cars still driving on track. So if they really turn up into the 32s, 33s, yeah, then you almost have to pit because you just can't drive anymore on the wet tires as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. The tire pressures could be just starting to get slightly higher, and I think most of these drivers now starting to probably realise that switching to the slick tires is probably the best thing to do now. But as it looks like we're not expecting any more rain as it stands. Still a damp track, but as we look back to the front and looking at the Dutchman Sam Spenkelink staying out at the moment, but Sam Spenkelink has pretty much just been a man in command at the moment, and yeah, I don't know what he's done with that Lamborghini, but he just seems to have it hooked up.
It is a nice car to drive. Can attest to that. That's it's such a fun car to drive.
And Andrew Richardson, it looks like he's had issues.
Yeah. So we're gonna get a replay of that. What happened to Andrew? Yeah, we are. That's something that our audience wants to know if we want to get a replay of that, and I'm telling them that we're gonna get a replay of that. No pressure on you, Chris.
There's just still what's Sam at the moment, and
he's really steady lap times, by the way.
His pace is really good. So just watching him at the moment, it looks like just Sunday cruise mode at the moment. But as we look at the Andrew Richardson coming down to the final corner, I wonder if he went wide and maybe caught the grass on the exit. As it looks like he caught the curb, that wet curb that we were talking about, and just got spun round. And luckily does well not to get collected.
Yeah, that's an easy one to just bump it into the railing there. So he did well. And he's still 6th, so he didn't, or he was driving on in 3rd position?
Andrew was,
Yeah.
and he was 3rd.
Okay, so Nard's now in 3rd. So that's Sam's teammate. They were both really quick in the dry as well on the practice server. So have we already any lap times for the people that went into the pit?
Let me have a look.
So we have Marius Dreisig. His last lap was 1:32.
Oliver's lap time was a 33.
So it's still quite a bit faster. It's almost 4 or 5 seconds faster to be on the wet at the moment. Although the track's now gone to greasy, so that should normally be quite. Then it should start to be getting a lot better for the dry tires now. And you really see the dry line at the moment. So.
Yeah, a bit of a dry line start. Was look at Amaral. Does a bit of off road in there, and does well to hold that, especially when the grass is probably still wet, but done well to keep control of that. But as I say that as well, it looks like Holzer, Treffers, and Beaton are into the pits as well. So yeah, more drivers starting to make their pit stops and switch to the slick tires. And because as you see there across the start finish line, it's starting to there's a bit of the dry line starting to get wider and wider.
Oh, and we've missed the fact that Patrick is now in front of Sam. Oh, Sam's in the pit. Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say Sam's just made his just dived into the pits for his pit stop. So I think Sam deciding that now is the time to switch to the slick tyres. As pretty much just under 34 minutes remaining in this race, and Sam pulling away from the pits, and he should rejoin in P3, I believe. Is just rejoin him with a clear track behind him and a car in front of him. It looks like it's Wolf. No, it's a lap down car. The car in front of him is Wolf Garcia, but obviously he still has to make his pit stop along with Sodacat.
But then that's quite early. We've had all the pit stops then. So I was expecting it perhaps to take a bit longer, but.
Yeah, I was expecting maybe some drivers to try and go to the 30-minute remaining, basically try and split the race in half, go to 30 minutes remaining, and then basically dive into the pits. But Sam tries to get back in front of Van Schaik in front of him. I think I don't think Van Schaik will put up much of a fight with him being in a different class, but Sam wants to try and get by as quickly as possible because the more he gets stuck behind, the more time he's going to lose.
So Patrick Sodacat is in the pits as well now.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see if Patrick comes out in front of him or if Patrick comes out close behind him, because he's still in his pit box, and I think this is going to be very, very close, I think. But as Sam comes across the line, then does Patrick moving? No, he's still in his box. So yeah, Sam Svenkling easily jumps him, and once the pit stops cycle out, Sam will be back into the lead.
But also Sam's lap time at 1:32.
Indeed, so it looks like the tracks still taking time to get up to speed, and they Sam up the inside and throws up the inside, and they think he had to get that move done. It was a bit risky, but he had to get it done if he wants to try and keep that lead.
But Andrew Richardson is now already driving 1:27s, so. And Marcus Dreisig now did the fastest time of 1:27.0. So it's now becoming viable anyway, and to drive on the dry tires. It's becoming quicker and quicker.
Indeed, I was going to say as well, it'll probably take the track probably a few laps to get up to get up to speed because the tracks track states just switched from damp to greasy. So and it looks like Fredriksson's had an issue yet again. So I don't know, maybe Fredriksson being caught out in a wet part of the track on slick tyres.
Well, that's an easy mistake to make at the moment. So there's Leonardo Wolf Garcia leading the race as an amateur, or a semi-pro, sorry.
Indeed, so Garcia still needs to make his pit stop. I wonder if he's doing if he's using splitting it in half strategy and maybe pitting the 30 minutes remaining, and also Van Schaik still needs to make his pit stop as well, and they're the only two drivers that still need to pit. So yeah, these guys are pretty much going as long as possible, and as the track's still greasy, I think they're just trying to wait as long as possible until the track is completely dry and then dive into the pits. But I think yeah, if I was them, I'd just dive into the pits now and stick on slick tyres. So as you see the dry line starting to get wider and wider, so as Garcia slides it as well. That was a nice slide.
And well held, so but it's but still, I mean, he was still driving like 129s, and there are still people driving slower times than that. Although now the general speed is about 127s, so if you stay out now, you're really just losing time. So Thomas van Schaik should better get in. Somebody tell him.
Indeed, excuse me, as the Van Schaik comes across the line now and stayed out as well. So yeah, I think he maybe doesn't want to dive into the pits and switch to the slick tyres at the moment. But as I say, that Spenkelink back into the lead, and Sodercat will cycle back into second place when the pit stops are made. And yeah, I have to say, Seb's pretty much been in command of this race from the start. He took third position, or took second position, and then basically jumped up into first position when Patrick made that mistake, and he's pretty much just been in command at the moment. It probably sounds a bit cliche, but it's been pretty much a Max Verstappen-esque performance at the moment.
Clyde Barney now has the fastest time, although he's in position 25th. So that's 126.1. So now we're really getting up to speed. And we've only have 30 people left in the race, and I noticed on the chat on YouTube is that I'm not quite sure who it is, but Rockwater says my pedal stopped working. Oh, that's Justin. It held the throttle, yeah. So that's Justin.
Yeah, it was so unfortunate for Justin because he had a decent race last time out at Kota, and yeah, unfortunately it's not going to plan tonight, but hopefully he can rebound at the next round, and the next round should be at, let me have a quick look. The next race is at the Bathurst in 2 weeks' time for a 75 minutes race, so that should be fun.
Another close one. Every time I see a car sliding a bit, I sort of hold my breath. It's so tricky, and it's so easy to just overshoot a corner now. And Richard has the fastest time, so we're in the 25.5. So it's really speeding up now.
Yeah, I was going to say him and let's look at Amaral, and it looks like Wagenmakers having issues. Wagenmakers it was as well in the Mercedes. So yeah, that got maybe just pushing it a little bit too hard.
But it's like I said, it's so easy. Some of these corners they're a bit off camber, so the sheen curve I think is off camber, and it's so easy to lose the car there. And then, yeah, you just hit a bit of grass, you try to ease on the throttle, and you still lose it. So it's a tricky
Indeed.
corner.
As I look at John Beaton as well, currently behind Tim, Tim Miro in the Ferrari, and I think, yeah, if I was Tim, I wouldn't make too much of a fight of this with John being in the same class. But obviously, they're still both classes are still within the same race, and yeah, Tim doesn't have to move out the way, and I think it's just a matter of time before John gets by, because that Honda on a straight line is absolutely quick.
I think it's just a beautiful car to see. I don't like to drive it. At least I haven't tried it yet in a new patch, but it's a really nice car to look at.
Indeed, I've not really raced a Honda, but from the laps I've done with it in the past, it is a bit of a, it's one of those cars that seems to have sometimes it'll have understeer, and then basically sometimes in the middle of a corner it'll have oversteer, and it'll just basically try and spin round at you when you don't expect it.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, that was at least the way why I didn't like to drive it. It was, for me, it was way too oversteery at unexpected moments. So, and I just couldn't control the car, which is of course my failure, not really the car. Apparently, people are really good at it. And it's been like the go-to car. There was one patch, I think, when that was the go-to quickest car that everyone was driving.
Absolutely, as looking at Nard Cox as well, currently up in 5th position at the moment, and yeah, I think there's been a decent race by Nard at the moment, and yeah, last time at Quota he had a great race because he came from the back of the grid to finish within inside the top 10, and it was a great result for him, and yeah, probably hoping that he was maybe up further up the field on the podium with his teammate Sem, but 6th position at the moment is still a good run at the moment, and not too far behind Magazi and the McLaren. So I think if Nard sniffs or if Nard senses an opportunity, he might try and make a move down the home straight. But that McLaren as well is similar to the Honda. It's a quick car in a straight line.
Yeah, but I'm also kind of curious how the race will pan out, because of course Sam was really quick. Oh, now he's done the quickest lap, because Patrick was like half a second quicker than Sam was last lap, but now and he's still doing that, so he's again half a second quicker. So the gap of 6 seconds, if he keeps improving, then it might become even a decent race again between the first two. So Patrick Söderqvist now did a 1:23.990, so that's the first one under the 1:24s, which is incredibly quick on a greasy track. Oh, now it's optimum. It changed from greasy to optimum in one go, so no far in between.
So the track is completely dry now. So this is pretty much the point where the lap times will start dropping and start getting quicker and quicker, and yeah, I think it would surprise me if you see people like Sam and maybe Richardson and maybe some of the quick guys up at the front start to get quicker and quicker. But I have to say though, if I was a driver of the day vote, I think my vote has to go for Oliver Anderson, because he's pretty much at the front of his class most of the race, and it's been a great race by him. And he was in the early stages when it was wet, he was sensible and didn't do anything silly, and yeah, he's been rewarded with the lead in the semi-pro class at the moment, and they might be, hopefully I don't jinx it, hopefully on for maybe a class 1, as it looks like Nard is trying to make a move.
Yeah, that's a great overtake, because it's not easy to do that there. You have to get a really good exit, because it's not a long straight to just pass someone. But the Lambo is quick. But indeed an amazing race by Oliver. I mean, running in 6th, and his starting position was quite a bit out there, I think. Wasn't it about 12th or 13th?
Yeah, I believe it was something like that, 12th or 13th. So yeah, it's been a great race by Oliver at the moment. They getting in loads of positions, and right behind him he's got Andrew Richardson, but obviously Richardson's in the pro class, and I think if I was Oliver, I would not make a big fight of this and just let Andrew go, because behind him he's got a decent gap to the next car in class. So it's like in front of Oliver as well. He's got a bat marker in front of him. It's maybe holding him up, and I think yeah, looks like it's a McLaren in front of him. So I think Oliver's maybe just getting frustrated slightly, as we saw him flashing the lights slightly. And I think is Richardson going to try and make a move into turn one? No, he doesn't. So I wonder if Richardson might try and make a move into the hairpin.
Apparently, we've been informed that that's not Andrew.
Oh, it's not Andrew. Sorry.
No, it's a back marker, but I still don't know who that is, though. So, no. Can we see?
Yeah, here's Andrew. Yeah, I kept thinking that was a McLaren for some reason, because some McLarens in the field are in black. So yeah, getting a bit mixed up there. So yeah, my bad. So Andrew is a seventh, but about 3.2 seconds behind. So Oliver I think he's just playing it sensible and not trying to get into any silly incidents with back markers. But yeah, I think if Andrew does catch up to Oliver, I think Oliver will do the sensible thing and just let him by. As you see again, Oliver getting a little bit frustrated there, flashing the lights.
Yeah, it's if people don't give you the space to overtake, you can't overtake, huh? It's the car number on the black car. I haven't seen it yet. This moves way too quick.
5-5.
5-5 would be Leonard, but he's not a lap behind, so.
Yeah, I was about to say he's on the same lap, I think.
Yeah. Rayner is a lap behind from Oliver,
So,
I guess.
So it's car 26 is Rayner, so in the same class, but not really in a battle. So I think Rayner's just happy to maybe just sit behind and not try and hinder Oliver too much or compromise his race. And yeah, Damien De Kaiser in the chat says what was in Oliver's birthday cake? He's got amazing pace. Yeah, Ooh, I thought Oliver was going to run into that stationary car there.
That keeps you on your toes. If he was falling asleep behind the wheel, he's now wide awake again.
Yeah, I was going to say, if that was me, that would definitely wake me up.
Oliver is now in 5th place, so who was the car standing still? Was that what, Migazzi? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a good say. I was up Bagazi. I think yeah, it could have been him. It's facing sideways or facing the wrong way. But as Oliver's still being held up by his back marker in front of him, I think Oliver's probably starting to just get frustrated slightly. And as you can see behind Oliver, Raider's starting to flash the lights as well. So both cars being held up, and they also have Oliver being held up. It's allowing Richardson to close down on him.
So that's Simon Wilkes who's holding Oliver up. Because he's getting blue flagged, right?
Yeah, I believe you get blue flags and you have to. I can't remember the rules, but I believe
you have to make sure that you're getting out of the way. Yeah.
So I think if Simon doesn't move out of the way soon, he may get a penalty. Is Simon allowing Oliver through? No, yeah, kind of. Oh, Oliver gives a bit of a hip check. Is it? Raider tries to go for a move as well, and unfortunately it results in both of them getting results in both of them having contact.
He was on the inside, so he pushed, I think. Andrew, yeah. Yeah. So we might get a replay, perhaps, of what happened there with Andrew, and we can always ask.
So it looks like it looks like Andrew's caught up to Oliver now, and they still, Andrew's still. Well, I thought Andrew caught up to him, but
Peter Venner, he caught up to Andrew.
Yep, Peter Vernier, catching up to Andrew, and it looks like we might have some late race battles about to happen as well. But I think if both of these guys catch up to the back of Oliver towards the end of the race, I think if I was Oliver, just be sensible and just let them both go, because he's not under any real threat from any fellow class cars. But as I look at the replay, Oliver goes up the inside into the hairpin, and I think this is where Rayner makes a move up the inside. Just maybe frustration started to creep in, and unfortunately both of them may have had contact, and Simon Wilkes unfortunately got spun around.
Andrew really had to take avoidtive action on the grass, so that's why he lost all the time to Oliver. But he's pulling back in a bit, so he's now within 2.5 seconds and 1.9, so he is really quick compared to Oliver at the moment.
Indeed, as I've got about, as I've got under 40, what was it? It looks like someone was off there for a second, but we've got about just under 14 minutes remaining now. Amazing to think, Frank, this race has absolutely flew by.
Yeah, it's going really quick, and I'm also looking at the difference between Sam Spankeling and Patrick Södergaard, because it's now down to like 5 seconds, where it was almost 7. So he is catching up, but he needs to do a lot of catching up to actually catch Sam. Looking at.
Indeed, and I think, really, I think if Patrick wants to catch up to Sam, I think he probably needs to try and gain maybe half a second to a second per lap, and I think with 12 minutes remaining in this race, or just under 13 minutes remaining in this race, I think that's a very tall order.
Yeah, but looking at his last the last laps, he was a second quicker, so never say never, I would almost say. And Sam now did a 1:24.5 almost. And Patrick did a 1:23.6, so that's 8 tenths again. So he is closing in quite fast. He's now on 4.5 seconds. So we could get a battle for the lead in the last couple of laps.
Quite possibly. As you see there, the gap's down to about 4.5 seconds now. Yeah. So yeah, that gap's slowly coming down, and still down to about 4.3 now. So it's a couple of tenths taken out the gap that lap. As we look at Peter Vernier and Magazzi, and it looks like Lars as well. So these guys in a battle, and Lars is second in the semi-pro class at the moment. So I think maybe. Oh, sorry, Lara. Sorry, I don't know where I got the name Lars from, but Lara's second in class at the moment, and I think if I was him, don't get into any silly scraps. Just settle for the position where he is at the moment, because it's still, at the end of the day, it's still a top 3 result in class.
No, I think this is still Rainer driving behind Andrew and Peter. So Rainer is still following that. So that's what was it, car 26?
Hey, Ryder, let me see. Yeah, car 26.
Yeah, I think he's still behind it, and those two guys are, so Andrew and Peter are trying to catch up on Oliver. And then within 2 seconds we have Giorgio Migazzi again, so he's closing in again to Peter now as well, since he made a couple of mistakes. And Peter lost contact with Andrew, so Andrew is now sort of free to try and attack Oliver. Oh, and I think Patrick Södergaard made a mistake, because he's now down to 5.3 seconds again.
Yeah, I think Patrick made a mistake somewhere, but I think he maybe just pushing a little bit too much to try and catch Sam. But I think Sam pretty much just needs to keep it on the track and keep it on the track right up to the finish, and hold on to take the win. But Södergaard, as I said as well, Södergaard actually puts in the fastest lap of the race, and or puts in his fastest lap of the race. So yeah, definitely pushing, but I think just maybe over driving slightly.
How badly do you want to win, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially after Patrick took the win last time out, and maybe was trying to win another race, and basically add to his win last time out. But I think Sam, he's a quick driver. I've watched him a few times, and he's a very quick driver. And even if Patrick did catch him out, trying to get by would be a difficult task.
Yeah. Speed difference here is everything, but you might just make a small mistake on a corner, and then it's an easy pass. And it's quite easy to make mistakes. I mean, tires are going off as well now. It's because of course they had all quicker pit stops, or sooner pit stops, and they now some of them are now driving half an hour on the same tire set, which might mean they go off again. I mean, when I'm driving the Lambo, I always think, okay, for 20 minutes I can drive decently, and afterwards it's I need to try and keep it in check. I sort of seem to lose the rear tires after 20 minutes of driving, so, and that's my left foot perhaps, but. So Andrew is now catching up on Oliver again. So Oliver's making a nice battle out of it. Perhaps he isn't driving. He has been drinking enough to be decent now. That might be it, right? So it wasn't the birthday cake. He's just been drinking enough.
Yeah, quite possibly, and I think Andrew's done a good job to close the gap back down to him. I think at this point Oliver's just pretty much just been sensible, not taking any silly risks, and still leading his class at the moment. But as you come to pretty much to the last 7.5 minutes is left in this race, and it's been, if it was a driver of the day vote for you, Frank, who would you choose?
I find it hard. I mean, the driver from Oliver is amazing, I think. But if I look at the drive from Sam, how he was able to drive in the rain, that's been really, really good. I mean, that's really impressive how quick he was. And then being able to overtake and then get the lead, and now keep the lead even though it's dry again. Yeah, I think that's an amazing drive as well. So for me, there's no real winner yet. Anyway, I think if you look at the top 6 now, there were I mean, Nart wasn't in the top 6, right? I think, and Marius Dreisig definitely wasn't. He was quite low on the I think on the starting grid. So he's been doing really well as well, and he's third. He's on the podium. So
It's
amazing.
it's been a good. Yeah, I was good to say Marius has had a great race. He's not really been a bit of a quiet race. A quiet race. He's not really been caught up in any incidents and just been sensible. And he's been rewarded with a third place at the moment. And as we're just coming up to about just about to come up to about under 6 minutes remaining in the race, I think he just needs to hold on. And Marius is not really under pressure from Nardcourts behind him, so it's just a case of try and bring it home. And yeah, it should be. He'll take a well-deserved podium result. As again, Patrick Sodikit puts in another quickest lap of the race, and definitely pushing to try and catch Sam, that's for sure. But I think he's just it's that same old thing, Frank. It's just just running out of time.
Yeah, but Sam did a 1:23.6 as well, and Patrick did a 1:23.7. So now we're 1:23.4. So, but now it's like 10. So I don't expect him to be able to catch up anymore. But never say never. It's a difficult track. But we have a few battles going on. So the first one, that's the one from Oliver in the left corner, Oliver and Andrew. And on the bottom half, we see, which one is that? Because Leonardo, Wolf Garcia, and Andy King. So.
That was like Garcia was trying to make a move there, but just just ran wide on the exit of the final corner. But this battle between Anderson and Richardson as well still going on, and Veneer was like just hanging in the background as well. But I think Richardson is probably mindful that Oliver's maybe leading his Oliver is leading his class, and he doesn't want to take any silly risks and possibly ruin Anderson's race.
The battle between Andy and Leonardo is quite fun to watch as well, because there's this huge difference sometimes in the braking, which makes it quite funny. And I think Leonardo is really catching up on the straights as well, so he might have a bit lower wing, or perhaps just performance of the Lambo is really good in speed compared to the what is that? Oh, and they hit each other in the corner because of the slower back markers, I guess. Got caught out.
Yeah, possibly just being held up there, and there's a go back to this battle between Anderson and Richardson and Veneer as well, and Magazzi's not too far behind either. If they come to think it, down in 8th, he's only about 1.1. Yeah, about 1.1 seconds behind Veneer, so it could be a 4-car battle coming up very soon.
Well, if you're in .3, that's a battle already, right? It doesn't
Absolutely.
need to be .1. But Oliver's, right? He's making his apexes. He's driving his lines, really, really well. So he doesn't make the mistakes. So no commentator curse, I hope. He's doing really, really well. He's keeping it clear and just making his lines, and then that's fine. Although he did miss the apex a bit there. So now it's getting closer.
Ooh.
But park it a bit on the apex and you're off. Oh, yeah. That's daring as well from Peter. Halfway in the grass.
Yeah, I was good to say Oliver's doing really well. He's not driving erratically, and they just doing a good defensive job. But at one point I would have there's a bit of contact between the two, and Andy Richardson gets tacked around. Oh,
and that's what is it, Giorgio as well. That's spun around, but that's from 6th till to what is it now, 8th or so?
Something like that, I believe. That was just unfortunate. I had a feeling that something like that was going to happen, but as we look at the leader, Sam Spenker, coming across to start his final lap, and This has pretty much been a command and drive by the Dutchman.
Well, not quite sure if that's going to be the final lap. It might just be enough to do another one, I guess. I mean, it's only 120, 123 that he takes for a lap. And I think he went into that first corner with 125 still on the clock. So I guess we will have to do 2 laps again. Or still 2 laps.
Quite possible. It could be. Yeah, it was close at the line. I think it was about 124, 125 at the line. So that could be. Yeah, it could be close to doing another lap. But as looking at the gap as well between the Spenkelink and the Sodacat as well, the gaps definitely came down for sure, and the gap is down to about, checking the gap now, it's about 3.1 seconds.
Yeah.
So Sodacat's definitely closed that gap down, but I think he's going to run out of time. As I say, yeah, we're getting to about 15 seconds in the race, 13, 12. Oh, this is going to be so close. I think it could be another lap.
No.
Yep, so yeah, definitely this is the last lap. So how close do you want to cut it?
If he had just braked a bit, he would still have run, right?
Quite possibly, and just looking in the background as well, you can see Sodacat just out of shot there, definitely closing that gap down to about 2.5 seconds now. So
yeah, he did. His last lap was 1.1 seconds quicker, so taking it a bit easier.
I wonder if Sen's maybe struggling with tyres.
Well, or he's just making sure he doesn't make any mistakes. I would more expect that, to be honest. Or he has to do a bit of lift and coast because he doesn't have enough fuel, but I wouldn't expect that in a rain race, to be honest.
It's quite possible, but I mean, yeah, looking at that gap, 1.7 seconds now, so Sodacat is definitely pushing now, and as you see there, that the Wild Funds Racing Ferrari in the background, but I think it's going to be a case of so close but no cigar.
Yeah, that's it's just a bit too much. So final corner, and there's a victory for Sam.
Yep. So Sam Spenkelink taking the one. At Brands Hatch tonight, and Sodacat definitely was definitely putting him under pressure towards the end, but Marius Dreisig comes across the line to finish in the top 3, and a great result for the German. And right behind they've got Nard Cox as well. I thought that was a change of position, but Nard Cox dodges a back marker, and Nard Cox finishes in 4th, and then we've got a battle for the 5th overall, and Oliver Anderson's going to come across the line and finish in 5th and take the semi-pro class win, and a great result for him. And yeah, I believe it's his birthday, so a good birthday present.
I think his birthday wasn't that last Sunday?
Yeah, I think it was last Sunday. So,
but still a great birthday present, if a bit late. Yeah.
And yeah, Oliver Anderson taking the win in the semi-pro class, with Paco Lara finishing in 2nd, and it looks like Matt Redfern's going to round out the top 3 in class. So yeah, a great result for the top 3 in the class as well.
And Andy in front of Leonardo, Tom van Schaik. Well, that was an interesting race.
Yeah, I have to say that was a great race to watch, and yeah, there was some incidents in the early stages of the race on a dry track, but once everyone settled down, I think it turned into a great race to watch, and that battle in the closing stages between Spenkelink and Sodacat, I think another lap and Sodacat would have closed Spenkelink down and gave him a harder time.
Well, it's hopefully they'll both join in the interview, and then we can ask why Sam was so slow.
Absolutely. But good to see Sven taking his first, his first win of the
First
season,
win of
and
the season, yeah.
so good one for the Dutchman, and I think, hopefully that drags him back into championship contention. But as I look at the highlights now, basically a very wet track to kick off the race, and I think this is where pretty much it all started kicking off slightly. As you see, there's the Wildcast in the pole position, so had a bad race, and it just went from a good qualifying to a total disaster in the race. But I think I had a feeling that it was going something like that was going to happen, just because of maybe the wet nature of the track, and also the spray causing issues with some drivers, causing some drivers not to see the track properly. But go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, we have Sam in the waiting room, so shall I drag him in?
Yeah, go for it. As I've got the race winner from tonight joining us, and first off, Sam, congratulations on the win, and it looked like you were in command of that race, in command of the race, and then towards the end, Patrick just started putting you under more pressure.
Yeah, it was a really eventful start, at least. The start of the race was quite hectic with the wet, of course, being there all of a sudden. I had not driven a single lap in the rain yet, so it was like just guessing where to be with the pressures and how the grip would be. But the car felt really good in the wet, and I could really attack the three guys in front. So that went really well for the start, and I could take the lead. From there on, I could break away from Patrick quite easily, I think, but I kept making small mistakes on the exit of turn 3, where I would hit the curb and the car would go in a slide. So it was a little bit closer than was nice for comfort. But once we came out of the pits, the gap was quite large, so I could, in the dry, I could just cruise home really. And at the end, I was kind of playing with the race timer. I was trying to time it to 0 seconds, which I think worked, but then I had to do another lap.
Yeah. We saw you towards the end being caught by Patrick. Were you having to back off and save fuel, or was it just basically Patrick was just that slightly bit quicker in the dry towards the end?
Not neither actually. I was just taking it slowly. I was watching the gap, and I was just having a bit of fun with the car. Didn't feel any pressure. I had some time in hand, so it was quite okay.
Good stuff. And you talking about the Lambo suiting the wet track around Brands Hatch. How did it feel around Brands Hatch in general, also in the dry? Was it the car? Do you think it was one of the cars to have, or was it just maybe? Have you always enjoyed racing in the wet?
The wet always suits me quite well. I quite easily get adjusted to the conditions, so I like driving. But the Lambo also was driving fine in the wet. It didn't have any weird traits, so it was quite good. I got adjusted to the rain pretty fast, and in the dry it also felt pretty quick around Brands Hatch. I know that it lost some pace after the latest update, so the cars are probably pretty close. But the Lambo felt good. I think that in general you saw in quali that there was quite a few guys that could drive the top times, so I think it went alright. I was a bit disappointed with the quali. I think there was more in it than P4, but in the end, can't complain.
And quickly before we let you go, as we look ahead to Bathurst in 2 weeks' time, do you think the Lambo will be the car to have around there, or do you think it'll be more? Do you think can you see cars like the BMW, the Ferraris, maybe even the Porsche being the cars to have, or the cars being right up there challenging as well?
I really don't know yet. I know that the Lamborghini on most tracks it really struggles on top speed, so I think I will struggle a little bit at Bathurst unless it's very different there. I'm hoping it's good through the top hill section to just break away there, and then I'll be safe on the straights hopefully, because on the straights the car has been a bit too slow for my liking. Overtaking is quite hard with it, so we'll see how it goes.
Good stuff. Well, congratulations on the win, Sam, and look forward to seeing you on track at Bathurst in 2 weeks' time, and hopefully we'll see you on that top step of the podium yet again.
Thank you very much, guys, and well done on the commentary as always.
That was race winner Sam Spinklink joining us, and I believe up next we have got Pat Sodica. And do you want to take this one, Frank?
Oh, you're fine doing it, but I don't mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say Patrick Sodica finished in second, and Patrick, it looked like you were pushing towards the end, and Sam said that he was kind of playing with the timer and just minding the gap towards the end. But do you think you could have caught up to Sven and maybe challenged for that win?
Hello guys, and congrats to Sam first of all. Well, to be honest, I think I definitely had a little bit of pace on him in the dry in the end. I think like roughly 3 to 4 tenths I catched up per lap, but yeah, I think I don't think I could have got him, to be honest. In the wet he was super fast and he just pulled away from me, and I think when I went in the pits and came out he was like 8 seconds in front of me. So that was just too big of a gap, to be honest.
Yeah, and how did you find the wet conditions at the start of the race? Did you have to maybe tiptoe, or did you manage to adapt to the wet conditions, or did you set the car up for the wet, or did you set the car up for the dry?
I set my car up completely for the dry, and I haven't done a single wet lap before. I definitely didn't get the pressures right. Like from the start I had roughly like 32.9 psi all around, so they were quite overpressured. And then I definitely took a bit longer than Sam to adapt to the conditions.
What did you think of the Brandsart circuit? Do you think it suited the Ferrari, or do you think maybe the Lamborghini was maybe just more suited to this track?
I think the cars were quite similar, to be honest. I think if we would have got a completely like bone dry race, we probably wouldn't, like, we probably were basically exactly on pace with each other. Like from the qualifying, from what I've seen with the qualifying times, me and Sam basically were doing the same times. So yeah, I think no one really had the edge over each other car-wise.
And we're pretty much 3 rounds into the season so far, and yeah, the last time I checked, or when I checked before tonight's broadcast, you were at the top of the championship. And do you think, as we head towards the end of the season, do you think you can hold on to the championship lead, or do you think you've got Sam, you've got Will Casson, you've got Clayton Barney as well? Do you think those drivers will be able to drag themselves into the championship hunt, and they keep basically challenge you for the championship? And what's your strategy for the rest of the season? Is it just try and finish in the top 3 and then basically see where you end up at the end of the season?
I think Sam and Will do have some really good chances. I think, if I remember correctly, that Clayt and Chris did have some bad races, or not even point finishes. So I think Sam and Will should be really close, and they are also pretty fast drivers. But I definitely will do my best to take the championship win. That would be what I want to achieve.
Good stuff. And looking ahead to Bathurst next week, is it a track you enjoy? Is it a track Bathurst in 2 weeks' time, rather? Is it a track that you enjoy? Does it suit your driving style?
Bathurst is kind of a love-hate relationship for me, because usually in my practice I'm complete trash. I can't even do 3 laps without crashing into the wall. But then somehow in the races, I usually do pretty well. So I just hope it's the same thing this time again. And yeah.
Good stuff. Well, again, congratulations on the second place, Patrick. And we'll look forward to seeing you at Bathurst in 2 weeks' time, and hopefully we'll see you, finish on the podium yet again.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening, guys, and thank you for doing this race.
As that was second place finisher Patrick Sodicott joining us, and up next we have got the winner of the semi-pro class, the Danish driver, Oliver Anderson, joining us. And first off, Oliver, congratulations on a well-deserved class win.
Thank you. And what a rough one it was.
And to make it even more spicier, spicier, tense, whatever way you want to describe it. You had to save 5 liters of fuel towards the end, I believe.
Yeah, I was. I noticed after the pit stop when I did the setup before the race, I took less fuel than I originally was planning on, since it looked like the rain was going to stop earlier than my original pit stop plan was. So I took less fuel in the start, and then I forgot to add more fuel in the pit stop strat. So a bit unfortunate. So I was when I realized that I had to save quite a bit, and luckily when Andrew got up to me, I could just increase it just a little bit more there in the end, and use just enough to keep him behind. Unfortunate that he had that incident with me and the other BMW there by the end.
Yeah, but go ahead.
No, I was just mumbling.
Yeah, I was going to say, talking about Andrew catching up to you as well. What were you thinking when he caught up to you? What was the mindset? Were you thinking, if he catches up to me, I'll let him go and just tuck him behind, or was it basically try and fight him for position?
I was looking at the fuel gauge the entirety of the time when he was closing the gap. When I saw that I could start fighting a little bit and increase my fuel usage per lap, then I knew that I was going to try and fight him. Though originally I did think about just letting him go, as it wasn't really my battle to go racing with Andrew Richardson whatsoever, to be honest. But yeah, it turned out all right. Well, not for Andrew, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I guess when you saw Andrew have issues behind it took the pressure off you, and it was pretty much just basically get it to the finish. And
when we got into Druids, then he tried to squeeze me into the curb, but I had braked maybe half a meter too late. So we had a slight contact, and then it looked to me like the BMW behind then also got a little bit hot and then spun him completely around. But at that point, I was considering slowing up and waiting for Andrew. But when I saw that he was 10 seconds behind almost at that point, I was like, it wasn't really my fault. So I'm not really going to want to do this. But on the other hand, Andrew is a great guy, and I wouldn't have minded giving him the position there by the end. But it is what it is. We'll see if investigations go into that later on in the week. But yeah.
And as we look ahead to Bathurst in 2 weeks' time as well, I was asking Patrick about the Bathurst as well. Is it a track you love? Is it a track you hate, or is it have you got much history around the track?
Well, I've gone around it quite a few times, but I've never had any good races there. Last time we had endurance there with Dominic and I. We when it started getting dark, we started screwing up a bit. Last time we had a sprint race there, and I was racing. I had 2 punctures, not just the pressure loss, but in the MFD, the tire literally just went to 0 and got all black. Maybe because of a little bit too aggressive setup that I was running, but yeah, I've never had that good races on Bathurst, but I do like the track. It is one of those tracks that is a little bit the same as like Brands Hatch. When you think about it, it's a track where you really have to keep your car within the lines and do the consistent lapping around it. And if you go off, then there are huge consequences. Just like the old school track of Brent, so many corners where you have to risk it every lap to maintain your pace. If you go slow through them, you would maybe lose half a second, but if you risk it, then you obviously run the chance of going into the grass. And that will be the same on Mount Panorama, except there'll be walls next to us there. Hopefully we'll get dry weather.
Yeah, and
screw that. I'll take the rain. Give me the rain on Bathurst. Bring it on.
Yeah, from my experience of doing racing around Bathurst, I do prefer a wet track just because it's more challenging trying to keep out the wall. But before we let you go, Oliver, anyone that you want to give a shout out to, and like any sponsors, friends, family, anything like that?
Well, quick shout out to Chris Hill, always controlling the cameras, doing such a good job. One of the greatest guys in sim racing, nicest guys that I've ever talked to. And then, of course, the entirety of the Untalented Motorsports team, who have all already congratulated me, even though that I haven't even taken my racing gloves off yet. But thank you all, and you know what they say? Party like Miley and drive like Michael. That's how we do it.
Oh, sounds like fun. Sounds like I need to come over to Denmark for a good time.
Oh yeah, you should have been there when we went to the Netherlands for a pizza party last year. That was great fun. Celebrating like a fourth in a race, I think.
Good stuff. Well, again, congratulations on the semi-pro class win, Oliver, and we look forward to seeing you on track at Bathurst in 2 weeks' time, and hopefully we'll see you on that top step in class again.
Unlikely, but yes, let's just try.
As that was a semi-pro class winner, Oliver Anderson, joining us, and I have to say, Frank, that was a really, really enjoyable race, and some incidents, but overall that was good, great to watch.
Yeah, I mean the mixed conditions. I already said, I think before, I prayed a bit for having a bit of rain as well, and then just getting it like this, and it's just amazing. It's been a good fun to just watch and see how it all evolved and developed. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. So now if next week goes well, I get a really good feeling about Brands Hatch. But we'll see.
And good luck to you in the Tier 2 race next week. I think if it's anything like tonight, if it's raining next week, it should throw up a bit of unpredictability. But yeah, that's pretty much it from us. But before we go, we've got the Tier 2 race happening next week in the GT3 series. But if you're looking for if you're maybe not into GT3 racing, maybe something like the newly announced the SSRI GT2 series, the Reverse Grid Championship, has just recently opened for registration. So if you feel like signing up to that, don't hesitate to sign up. But if you're also into some 2.4 hour races, so I should say, sign up to the SSRI 2.4H series as well, where the sign-ups are still open, I believe, but there's not many. Well, some spots have been taken up that you might get placed on the waiting list. And then also we've got our SSRI 2024 Endurance Championship if you fancy doing some endurance stuff. So yeah, there's been good racing in that from what I've seen. But yeah, that's pretty much about it from us, from me, from Frank, and Chris doing the cameras and doing his magic. From me and Frank, that's it for tonight. So take care, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time.